This episode will deal with racism and police violence with African Americans. It will have inappropriate language for some people and may make certain people uncomfortable. Greetings, listeners. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends, and I'm your host, Michael Holmes Jr. This episode for today's show will focus on an uncomfortable subject of racism among African Americans with law enforcement. Over the past years, there has been countless shootings of black men and women from the police. A lot of this behavior is judging the person before the situation begins. This show, I will be interviewing 5 people I am close to by different ages and gender on different questions relating to police violence in the black community. Their names are Byron, 42 years old, Jeanette, 58 years old, David, my brother, 36 years old, Rotella, 40 years old, and David, my cousin, 28 years old. The way to fix this horrible act is to discuss these topics. These discussions will have a few heated conversations and a very emotional responses that will have you thinking about each question that is answered. Before the interview begins, let's have a recap on how we got to this point in the first place. So, let's get started after a short break. After a short break, we will return. Everyone is always planning things, and advertising is needed to make it happen. So, if it's personal or business, let Pinpoint Designs and Images solve that problem. With Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC, you will receive quality work and professional service at a great price. The service that is offered: flyers, business cards, programs, invitations, photo books, ad booklets, and much more. Michael Holmes Jr., owner/principal designer of Pinpoint Designs and Images LLC. Contact me by email or social media. Email address is pinpointdesignsandImages@gmail.com, and Instagram Pinpoint Designs, and Facebook Pinpoint Designs and Images. We are back. 9 years is how long we've been dealing with this horrible killing problem that has broken up plenty of families' lives. Some of these individuals who are young did not get a chance to experience what life has to offer. For example, marriage, having a family, going to college, or having a career of their choice, and whatever else they were thinking about doing for themselves. They did not get these opportunities in life that every individual person gets to experience in life. These individual lives were stopped by different police officers who took the situation too far, who had judgment when they saw or heard about the individual person heading to the scene of the problem. The first situation started in 2012 with a young black teenager who did not get a chance to go back home to his family. The person's name is Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman took Trayvon's life because he believed he was in danger. Well, George Zimmerman took matters into his own hands, and we all know where this leads us. The second police killing took place in Ferguson, Missouri. It was the killing of Michael Brown by the policeman named Derek Wilson. After the killing of Michael Brown, I remember watching on television, people started rioting in the streets with multiple days and weeks. People were burning and destroying buildings and different businesses. The people just wanted their voices to be heard. The people started saying Black Lives Matter over and over again. This just was the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement protesting across the country. After Ferguson, every black person who was murdered by the police, the Black Lives Matter movement had a protest that all people can express their support. Here are a few of the victims' lives lost by police killings. Let's say their name, a slogan from the Black Lives Matter movement: Eric Garner, Dante Parker, Tanisha Anderson, TAMIR Rice, Freddie Gray, Breonna Taylor, AHMAUD Aubrey. Sadly to say, there are so many others that I have not mentioned, which these families will need our condolences for this tragic death of their family member. On April 20th, 2021, Derek Chauvin was convicted of all three charges to the George Floyd murder. This was a lifelong turning point in history. When I heard this, I was happy and sad at the same time. The reason is because so many others in the past did not get this opportunity to get justice for their life and their family lives. The story started in the summer of 2020. In 2020, we was in the middle of a pandemic that would change the way we live. The tragic death that shocked everyone was by a policeman kneeling on a black man's neck. That name is George Floyd, and his life was taken from him from a misunderstanding problem that went too far. When the video went viral over the internet of an unarmed black man being arrested by the police, it showed the policeman kneeling on a black man's neck and did not stop kneeling on his neck. You can actually see the policeman who was kneeling on his neck was enjoying it and did not feel guilty about the way he was handling him. After everyone in America and around the country seen the viral video over and over again, different cities and countries started having peaceful protesting for the murder of George Floyd. George Floyd was murdered on May 25th, 2020. Out of this horrible murder of George Floyd and other, sadly to say, the Black Lives Matter Plaza was created in the summer of 2020. Black Lives Matter Plaza is located downtown DC where peaceful protesting took place in 2020. It has been a year now since the tragic death of George Floyd. On May 25th, 2021 is the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. The interviews next is my way of having a memorial for the tragic death of George Floyd. Interview 1. Byron, 42 years old. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. My guest for today is Byron. How you doing today, Byron?
Oh yeah, it's always a good day with mosquitoes and termites. Good
That's
old
really
New
funny.
Orleans, Louisiana. Outstanding. As always, it's always a blessed day to be with my boy.
Nice to hear that. And thank you for being a part of Consulting Between Friends.
Hey, it's no problem. Always good.
Well, we're about to get started.
All right, let's do this thing.
With all the problems we are facing in today's society with police killings, how does this make you feel mentally?
Mentally, as an older gentleman, I guess it's more or less, I've seen this coming up. I've seen this multiple times, repetitively. And it's like to the point where some people at my age group can feel like nothing's changing. We've been dealing with this for so long, but nothing's changing. So I guess in a nutshell, it makes older people frustrated that this nonsense will continue to be existing to this point. And it's the response as a community as to why we feel so frustrated. It's like some parts of the community tell you lay down and be humble. Other parts of the community that tell you fight and rebel, you know, and and the guy in the middle, he doesn't know how to respond to it. So most of the time you end up with confusion. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Well, all that makes sense. And you're right about the older population. They are frustrated because they had to go through it when they were younger. But for our generation, this is considered new, but it's still frustrating as well. And another thing of it is, who would have thought that we would be dealing with so much racism and violence at this day and age?
I guess you can never say I and I'll just keep it straight. You can never say that you won't deal with racism and violence because it's all over the planet. All over, literally all over the planet, you're discriminated against if you aren't viewed the same. So why is it so prevalent in the United States that racism is a hot issue when it's a global issue? And which is why you see a lot of activists in Africa. You see a lot of activists in I want to say in the Arab nations. People discriminate based off of age, sex, religion, uh, all kinds of stuff. So to sit and say, why is it still going on? The question is, why is it existing, period? What's the underlying cause for us to hate one another?
There shouldn't be an underlying cause, but there really is.
True. I think the best solution to that is what I see a lot of people doing now. A lot of people need to have conversations, uncomfortable conversations with men and women of either opposite of beliefs or opposite race and get to know one another. Because being a Navy veteran myself, I served with many different, and I'm gonna say the word wrong, but you can forgive me, ethnicities. I probably said,
Yes.
but
No,
it's
you
all
said it
good,
right.
baby. It's all good. Hey, look, man, I served with Chinese, Black, Asian, Arab, and from my standpoint, I didn't approach them aggressively like Black is the way to be or do things. Man, I can remember one time I'm going to Florida with my Indian fella, and we in a car just riding, and he puts on like these little love songs, like Delilah or something like that.
Hmm.
Now, to me, in New Orleans, Louisiana, a whole bunch of dudes riding together, we don't play no love songs like "I love you" or something like that. That does not right.
Yeah.
So it was completely uncomfortable. But this is how he vibed,
Hmm.
and eventually we became good friends. And I understood his vibe. It was an island vibe. It's a laid back and chill. Get to know people before you
Yes,
start judging them off of your situation. And I think there's no understanding between people, and so we're viewed in a narrow light.
that is
If
true.
you understand what I'm.
We are viewed. For what you just said, that's going to lead to the next question I'm going to ask you. The next question is, when you heard how the police killed George Floyd, what were you thinking at that time?
Tragic that someone had to lose their life, uh, but not surprised by the situation. Um, as you can see around us, uh, people are dying left and right over over, and I just put it, evil people. I don't put it as a police issue.
Hmm.
I put it as evil people who wear the uniform.
Yeah.
You know, I am not one of those people that'll say we need to get rid of the police.
Hmm.
Because the first time somebody try and rob you or jack you, bro, you calling the police.
That is
You
true.
calling them like, hey, pull over, cop, I need help. But I can't also overlook the other side of things where I have been discriminated against by police. Being with my cousins, walking around Myers, going by my auntie house, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We got pulled over just walking as a group of Black kids. I won't say men at that time because ain't none of us had hair on our chest, but we was young.
Hmm.
And to us, it was an experience that was not comfortable because we know that we weren't doing anything wrong, for one,
That's
and
true.
for two, the other the other part of it that makes you upset is the only reason you are messing with us is because we look different than you.
Yes, that's true.
You know, And so it becomes, like I said, a frustrating point. So you ask yourself, what can I do about it? Can I get mad and blow up everything? Or can I learn to cope with where I'm at? And I'm gonna tell you like this, man. If you don't believe in God, you at least need to read the word of God, because in it it'll tell you how to deal with situations, even discriminations, you know.
Hmm.
So you ain't gotta bear evil for evil. If you show good in the midst of evil, like the Lord delivered people from slavery, the Lord delivered people from corruption, he'll deliver you from police brutality. Something will change. But let's pray that nobody we know, or nobody, period, has to go through that type of situation, that the change starts now.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's I don't believe that police violence need to stop as well. I do not believe that police need to stop. Now, I do believe they need to change in some kind of way from how they run their job every day. I do believe that.
And I agree. I agree. But I think it starts with fixing our justice system.
Yes.
We monetize the behavior, and because we monetize it, just put it like this: in Jefferson Parish, or Jefferson County, to most people that don't know what a parish is, the police organization of people that are in control were against the government legalizing weed, the local government.
Yes.
And main reason is because it is one of the methods they use to incarcerate young men.
Hmm.
And I'll put it like this: young African American men.
Yeah.
So if they take away those minor drug possession cases, the question then comes, well, how can we lock them up?
Hmm.
Because most of the time they have nothing on them. And the sad truth of the matter is this: we do it to ourselves uh, when we don't correct the situation in our own community. You understand? Either police, drug, or people. We, the people, have to have the mindset that we have the power to make that change, starting within our own communities. And then we can affect the whole.
Yeah, that is true. It needs to start in the
And
community. It does need to start in the community. Because if it starts in the community, you have a better understanding. And then what you mean about the judges, that is true as well. Because if we have the right judges that you elect, they will help solve the problem even more.
that I feel is an issue. That's another topic,
Correct.
because elections have become a popularity contest.
Hmm.
Is not who can get the job done. It's who message I like the most. You
Yeah.
know, who sound like they big stuff, or the hot new it. You know what I'm saying? They got
Hmm.
this person up repping them, this celebrity giving them support, and this organization dropping millions of dollars on them. But nobody's examining the record.
Hmm.
Now I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble for what I'm about to say, and I don't mean to.
If you feel
In
comfortable, it's okay.
recent, we had for the replacement of Cedric Richmond's seat.
Yes.
I was telling everybody that, and it may be against you, that I was reviewing everyone's policy.
Hmm.
Chambers was young, he was fiery. I like him with a future pick. Carter,
Hmm.
uh, not Troy. Is it Carter? The Peters, the
Oh,
young
no,
lady.
Karen Clark Peterson.
Yes, Peterson. To me, her message was more or less fiery with no direction. I'm going to be part of the AOC clique. I'm going to, but it was more or less a lot of talk, but no substance for me behind it.
Hmm.
And substance came when I reviewed the Mr. Carter's record. the biggest hit that he had from people was that Republicans liked him.
Uh-huh.
Bruh, if you can get to a point where even your enemies like you,
Mm-hmm.
because he's a Democrat,
Yeah, he is a
I
Democrat.
think you're doing an okay job.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like we really don't examine all of the record. We go based off our emotions and how we feel and never examine people's full records, which is why we get a whole bunch of mess
Mm-hmm.
in these elected offices.
That
You
is
know,
true. That is really true. Well, I know we veered off topic, but I do like what you had to say because all that plays a factor with all these questions that I'm asking you because it will also steer things in a different direction for a better future. Next will be, how were you feeling when you heard the different testimonies from the young people who witnessed the most horrible scene of police killing of an unarmed Black man who we all know is George Floyd?
my condolences to the George Floyd family. As with most Americans, man, I was deeply saddened to hear testimony after testimony say how they tried to advocate for the police officer to get off of this man's neck.
Mm-hmm.
And at one, I want to say a little girl, or I forgot which one it was. Uh, but I couldn't bear watching the TV as she recounted her story to how that event unfolded to her. You
Mm-hmm.
had the EMS lady
Yeah.
who tried to explain the situation. Over and over and over again, what you heard was a crowd of people saying that they seen a situation that did not seem right.
Yes, that's
But
exactly what they were saying.
because because people deal on their emotions, he ain't listen. He mad. He frustrated. At that time in his mind, I bet you he was like, man, I hope I break this dude's neck.
Hmm.
And that's sad. That's disgusting. And he got what he deserved, in my opinion.
Well, I feel the same way because it was disgusting because you can tell that he had no remorse when he was kneeling on his neck, and it's like how could he do that? And then like how long he did it. It's like he saw he was struggling even more and more, but he just kept at it. And then even though everybody was yelling at him at the scene, telling him to stop, he like, no, I'm not stopping.
That's the point. And we've all gotten to situations where someone close to us had to pull us back and say, stop, you're going too far.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You might have got mad at a situation and just lost your temper,
Yeah.
but you always had somebody to pull you back in. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like he ignored every bit of people. That's the part I think that is the most criminal and shows intent portion of what he done is the fact that so many people tried to tell him that this can kill the person, yet you continue to proceed with the action.
That is true. That really is. It made me sad just looking at it over and over again because I remember watching when they showed the police tapes. I'm like, at different levels, I'm like, oh God, I'm getting depressed just watching this. I'm like, I can't watch no more. I just can't watch no more. It's too sad. If that don't touch you, something is wrong.
But think about it. We watched it from a third party perspective as
Correct.
an outside viewer. Now imagine if this was George Floyd was your brother,
Hmm.
and that was that officer's knee on your brother's neck. I don't know how I could function. Or imagine that's your child or your father, just the closest person to you, and that officer knelt on their neck until the life left their body. How would that make you feel?
It'll make me
Destroyed,
feel
in my
correct.
opinion.
Yeah, I would feel destroyed, miserable, like I might can't live on the rest of my life. I would just be depressed constantly.
That's why I said, no matter how those kids testified, it will never be as deep, or the emotions that are brought out because we are saddened of the incident will never be as deep as the pain that family has felt since the day that George Floyd died because that officer was negligent or criminally minded.
Well, this going to lead to the next one as well. Since you mentioned about the other police that was in the involvement, which was horrible how they were not listening as well. The other policemen that was a part of the killing of George Floyd, do you believe they will have the same treatment as Derek Chauvin during the upcoming trial?
It's sad. My next sad, and the correct response would be, if you believe in the justice system, this justice system, then justice would be served. But if you know about this justice system, then you know this. Someone is already held accountable for it. So the other ones, these slaps on the wrist. Watch it. I guarantee it. But how I feel about the situation is this. If I'm going out and I happen to run across one of my friends, we hop in a vehicle. Now, they go to a gas station, they get out and go to the gas station and do whatever. They get back in the car and we ride home. Next day, the cops come to my house looking for me because my friend, while he was in the store, decided to rob the place. I didn't know that, but I was in the car with him. Are they gonna give me a pass? No, they taking my black tail to jail. I was guilty because I was an accomplice. You know, and I had no knowledge. But the bad part about these officers is they had a knowledge. They saw what was happening. But because no one was man enough to stand up and say, hey, what you're doing is not right. Especially the Asian fella.
Oh yeah, the one that was blocking the scene.
Yes. That in itself should be another level of accountability. But once again, they can blame it on the system, blame it on the training. Always somebody else is at fault instead of you could have did something. Everybody that could have did something, even this guy, this was the most interesting thing to me. The clerk that called in the cops said, if I only did take his $20 bill, none of this would have happened. To that clerk, I'm gonna tell him like this: it don't matter if you took that 20 or not. It was gonna happen to somebody because it's happening every single day. The onus is on these police officers to check it within their ranks. If you see something stupid or crazy going on, like in the military, when I was in, if I'm in a party of people doing a task and I see somebody acting stupid, it is my responsibility to address that, either by getting someone involved that has authority over them, or if I have authority, by correcting the issue right then and there. And that was the issue. Nobody called the appropriate authority to the situation. Everybody wanted to be, Johnny, I'm gonna do this myself. And that's where we get in trouble, when we try and do things on our own, point blank.
Yeah, that is true. When you try to do things on your own, sometimes it makes the situation even worse.
Correct. So I don't see an officer unit when I see that. I see a bunch of individuals not really, and they were in endangerment to not only George Floyd, but they were in endangerment to the community. Because so many people either have mental issues now, or some people were physically harmed by being pushed or moved back. You know, You laid hands on people. But that's getting into the weeds of things. But yes, I do believe there should be some accountability. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. Not on the same level as uh, the officer that just got charged in this trial.
Do you believe this is a changing point in our history with police violence among Black people overall? Also, having the support of other races to change this culture among Black communities?
Heck to the no, to the no. Heck no. Once again, I go back. You can get until you can fix the underlying issue of hate universal. You can't fix what is going on with how races are treating one another. The only thing that can fix that is God, point blank. Now, what we can do is equip ourselves with knowledge.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I think knowledge is going to help us to prepare or be aware in situations where we deal with adverse off. Like take this for example. And I know a lot of people say, well, they'll mess with you anyway. A lot of men are teaching their kids, hey, don't buck up. Look, I want you to come home. Yes, sir. No, sir. We'll deal with it later. But like, and this is probably a little bit off topic. Like the situation that happened with a young lady, Michaela. The young lady called the police officers.
Yeah.
But she's out there with a knife. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. What was that officer supposed to do? Just watch that other girl get stabbed? He didn't know that she was the aggressor. All he seen was one person with a knife. These are the quick thinking decisions that have to be made by an officer daily. You cannot take the ability for them to make decisions away from them. But what you can do is help with their decision making. Basically meaning, don't do nothing stupid. That's the best way I could put it. Don't do nothing stupid. Don't be trying, Johnny. I'm the lawyer, and I'm gonna fight my way out of anything that happened. You know what I'm saying? Now give it. Don't get me wrong. There's situations where you have to protect yourself.
That is true.
And in those situations, whatever you need to do to stay alive. But there are situations where a simple, okay, all right, what you need me to do will suffice. And this is the part that they're not gonna like with the George Floyd situation. I examined everything with that video. Had George Floyd also just sat his tail in the back of that vehicle instead of jumping out the other side, he'll be alive today. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because they had that older guy who said, just get up in the vehicle. Just get in the vehicle. You can't win. You can't win. Just get up in the vehicle.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't want to see. The only case that really disturbs me is, well, they got a lot of cases that disturb me, but the Philan Castro,
yeah,
where he told the cop, I have a weapon. The cop told him to reach for his ID. At the same time, and before you know it, he shot the man cold-blooded.
Yes, indeed.
But he ain't go to jail. You understand what I'm saying? But Michael Noor, who wasn't Black, but if you look at him, you was gonna call him Black, shot the white female. That officer immediately, quicker than these other officers, was brought to trial and was found guilty. That's the problem with the situation. Accountability is off, and the problem lies and starts with how the justice system functions, how we correct the behavior. If no one is correcting the behavior, it'll continue, which is why I said a lot of this, you know, can help bring knowledge in how to deal with it. But as far as changing the situation, no, it needs to start at the court level, and we need to get better with our justice process. It needs to be more reforming that process.
Yeah, it does need to be reforming. It really does. Well, we're coming up to the last question. With all the Black Lives Matter movement continuing to uplift the Black community, with all the violence that has hurt the Black community mentally and physically, do you believe the Black Lives Matter organization is having the support it needs to change the outcome of violence?
No. For the
What's your
simple
reason
reason,
why?
because all lives matter. Jeez. Oh man. But I for one am proud of any organization or group that stands to advocate for the little guy. I love it. But the Black Lives Matter movement couldn't move forward without commitment from all lives, meaning all races.
Yeah.
Now, the message has to stay consistent. And see, Black Lives Matter, and this is the part that frustrates me the most. And this is getting more or less onto the religious side of things. This leadership is supposed to come from our faith basis. But so many people have lost trust in the faith basis that it doesn't have a voice any longer. And so what you have is a whole bunch of people hurt, trying to fix hurt. And people look at Black Lives Matter as a bad thing, because not Black people, but a lot of people look at it as a bad thing, because they'll say that same sentence that I said: all lives matter. All lives do matter. Don't get me wrong. But the Black Lives Matter movement itself is a positive thing for bringing awareness to the change that needs to happen within these communities that used to be established by our faith-based beliefs or church communities, which no longer holds that strength.
It's a proven fact about the faith base, because the group I belong to, called the Jeremiah Group, nonprofit organization, at first it was a part of faith base. It has changed over the years, and a lot of groups have changed over the years. Some of them don't involve churches, and some do. It's not that they don't really want to involve the church. It's just that the demographic has changed. In other words, some people go to church, some people don't. But you got to meet somebody in where they are. So that's why other organizations are like meeting people where they are.
That's because the most, and a lot of people debate me on this too, the most segregated place you can find is church. How you gonna unify people when you look at church and all you see is people that look like you? So how are the views slanted? You understand? You're not having that conversation with one another. You're not reaching across the aisles to really understand each other. If you look around and your whole church looks like you, then we need to figure out a way for us to move the conversation beyond church, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is I understand why they're removing it from the faith base. It's becoming too uh, politicized in faith bases to deal with the true issues that affect our communities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know this one organization where they had some members. You know, they didn't want to go out in the community.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to hold a function where they donated goods within their community or help their people find jobs. Or if they did it, were you a member of my church?
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter transcends that, and it deals with helping those members who feel like they didn't have a voice. We need a unifying voice, period. So whether it's a voice that is full of rage, or if it's a voice of peace, like Dr. Martin Luther King, as long as the people can unify behind a voice, it's a powerful movement.
That is true. That really is true. Some people are really was just looking for a group, and so the Black Lives Matter was a group that they all turned to because of what was going on in the streets, basically. But they need to have more than one group. They don't have to just be Black Lives Matter. They got other organizations, but just like that's the one where people are like kind of catering to, and basically. So it's good to have a mixture. That's what I agree with.
I agree.
Well, I enjoy interviewing you today.
Enjoy being on the show. And I hope I wasn't long-winded, but you know, as in most people, these are issues that are close to the heart for most people, you know, because you got young kids up behind you for those with and you got nephews, nieces, little kids that look up to this generation to say, how are you going to make it better for me as I come up through the ranks?
Yeah, that's true. That really is true. Well, once again, Byron, thank you for being a part of Consulting Between Friends.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy being on the show. You have a good one, Mike.
Thank you. Interview 2, Jeanette, 58 years old. Hi, everyone, and I will be interviewing Jeanette at this time. I'm going to ask her a few questions regarding police killings in America. Now, welcome, Jeanette.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be your guest today.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Did you enjoy your day?
Yes, I had a good day. How was your day today?
It was great.
That's good.
Now, let's get started and start this interview.
Okay.
And welcome to Consulting Between Friends. With all the problems we are facing in today's society with police killings, how does this make you feel mentally?
It made me feel drained, disgusted, and aggravated.
Why does this make you feel drained and disgusted and aggravated?
Because how the policemen just taking our black men's lives, and I have sons and grandkids, and I hate to see something like that happen to them. Yes, and I have brothers and I have uncles, so I get so aggravated when I see the policemen taking our lives like we nothing, like we just dogs, and sometimes they treat the dogs better than they treat us.
When you heard how the police killed George Floyd, what were you thinking at that time?
Oh my God, that was a hard one to watch on national television. My heart ached and hurted for the family. And I just don't understand how the policeman just stood there and did nothing about it at all. It is so sad. I feel, my God, it is so hard. You know, that was somebody's child, someone's father, someone's brother, someone's uncle, and to get treated like that, oh my, it's in the middle of the street. The policemen have no compassion, no mercy, or nothing. They just stood there. Like, you know, like, and the people just telling them the man can't breathe. He can't breathe, and you're still doing going on and on and on his neck. Like, oh my God. And it really had, I was just so disgusted. I think if I was there, oh my God, I probably would have took a rock or something, trying to just throw it at him so he could get off the man's neck.
Okay, I just heard what you said about how you felt when you heard about George Floyd getting killed by the police. I was sad as well when I heard it as well. I couldn't believe that this really happened. And then it was being filmed, and I know the person just wanted everybody to see what was going on. But this was something that really hurt me because you're not used to seeing all this in America. And then you can tell that the police person who was really on the person kneeling on his neck, you can tell he didn't have no remorse.
No, he did not at all. Because how you gonna have your knee on someone's neck and put your hand on your pocket like no care in the world? You know, that just was so sad. And as he got charged for killing George, he should have got life or take his life. He took George's life. His life should have been taken too.
I do agree that his life should have been taken as well because he had no business going that far with the situation of George Floyd. All they really did was they just come down there because it was a fake $20 bill, which I understand that was a situation they had to go ahead and do. But how far they took the arrest was just too far, and they both should went home to their families. But instead, what happened was George Floyd did not get that opportunity.
No, George sure didn't. The family got to go visit George at the cemetery, and the police officer, his family, can go visit him in jail.
And another thing about that, what she said about in jail, that is really what needs to really happen to some of these police officers. The reason is because if this would have happened to any other person, they would have to go to jail for their killings. And I know this is very hard, we're discussing today, but I believe all this needs to be heard and all needs to be dealt with. So that is why we're having this horrible discussion about police killings.
And another thing, I really believe if George was a white man, was a black cop, none of that wouldn't have happened.
That is definitely true. I don't mean to say it on race, but if you look at it, it's really on race.
Yes, it was race all the way around. And even the other policemen standing there watching, they took an oath. How you supposed to protect and serve and you're not even doing your job? I feel to believe you don't want to do that job, get off the force. Give someone a job, that opportunity who want to be a good police officer. I'm not saying all the policemen is bad, but me personally, I say 95% of them is bad.
And some of them are bad. And just like it was going on, basically, they got some good cops out there and who really enjoy their job. And I feel the same way. And also my guest, Miss Jeanette, feels the same way. How were you feeling when you heard the different testimonies from the young people who witnessed the most horrible scene of police killing of an unarmed black man who we all know is George Floyd? Oh my God, the young lady who was recording everything, I had feeling so sorry for her. Then I heard she was getting threats, her and her family. She was a bold young lady, and I just pray God, protect her and her family and watch over them. And I just thank God, that she was able to record everything and for the whole world to see, how crooked these police officer is. Yes, that was a horrible thing that when the girl was able to record the video. And I know a lot of the people who was on the jury, they couldn't believe what they saw, and then seeing over and over and over again with the police footage. I know that had to hurt a lot of different people. Yes, especially if they keep showing you the tape, while you're in the courtroom. And I know a lot of people were sick and hurt and disgusted because it was really sad how they treated him. Oh my God. And like I say, I'm just praying for his family, especially his children. I'm just praying for that God give him strength to go on. And I'm just thank God that his brother, how he's standing up for justice and for righteousness. And he could keep going on and fighting, for us black, as being black people, he gonna keep fighting for us. Yeah, his brother has really stepped up ever since he realized what happened to his brother over the killing of George Floyd. I knew that was very hard for him to go through, watching his brother being killed on live television. Nobody would never be able to deal with that all the time, but it took a lot of guts to just go ahead and step up and represent the whole family. Yes, it did. And I really appreciate what he's doing. Not only that, he could be helping other black men. And not only this him, they have other family members that lost loved ones in the hand because of the hands of the police officers.
And I'm just praying God that God give those people strength to go on.
Yes, everybody needs all the strength it takes to go through all this here. This is getting really heartbreaking to see so many police killings of unarmed black men and women. This needs to really stop.
Yes, every time you put the TV on, that's all you hear every day, all day. It gets so disgusting, you don't even want to put the TV on no more because that's all you hear. You know, where is the positive things in life?
And that is also true. Before we even start this interview, what's the current thing going on right now is another police video you're seeing right now that's happening in Monroe, Louisiana. I can't believe this is really close to, this is really in the state that I live in. It mostly been up north mostly, but really you can't get away from this.
No, you can't. And for you to have the man handcuffed and dragging him, oh my God, where is the humanity in this? It is so sad. Like I said, if you don't want to be no police officer, get off the force because you're not doing a good job. You're not doing it at all, and it's so disgusting. You know, cut your paycheck. Just cut it. Take your check from you.
The other policemen that was a part of the killing of George Floyd, do you believe that they will have the same treatment as Derek Chauvin during the upcoming trial?
I sure hope so because they may not have their knee on George's neck, but it was part of it because they didn't do nothing. I understand y'all got this code, a blue. Y'all protect one another, but what about the people? What about the citizens? We paying y'all taxes.
That is true. We are paying your taxes, and they should have done a better job of dealing with the George Floyd situation, even though their counter policeman was really just taking matters in his own hands. He was like over both of like all of them. And really, he should have set a better example for being on the force so long. But he just took matters in his own hands, and he basically just made it like George Floyd was no person that need to have a life. He basically just treated him like a dog.
You got that right. And like I had said earlier in the interview, some of them treat dogs better than human beings because they look at us as the scum of the earth. That's why they treat us like that. And that's why as black, we have to come together and, stick up for one another because sometimes you just get sick and tired and, people can't take this no more. So sometimes people gotta be like Malcolm X, by any means necessary.
Which is true. And we're in 2021. We wouldn't ever thought that this would have to continue. This started really, the first incident that really started was in 2012 with Trayvon Martin. Who would have thought this would go this long? We should have learned a whole lot. A lot of people is getting sick and tired of hearing all these police shootings on the news, and everybody cannot deal with this hatred that is happening in America. This is horrible. And who would have thought this would continue?
Yes, it is horrible. And I am so sick of this race. It's so much of hatred in America. And we're supposed to be the land of the free. Oh my God. None of us is free.
Yeah, we're not free when it comes in the hands of policemen as being black in America. Some of them are treating us good, but there's a lot that are not doing what they're supposed to do when they took the oath to become policemen and police women.
And it's so sad. I'm tired of hearing about the police need to be trained on this and trained on that. You should know right from wrong. Teach our kids when they're little what's right from wrong. So I don't want to hear all that mess. They need to be trained. You need to be trained. You need to get out the office.
Yeah, that's true. I do believe if you just cannot deal with what's going on while you on the police force, you do need to stop what you're doing and stop terrorizing different people who don't need to be terrorized for something that's so petty. Because there's a lot of this here is really petty that has been taking somebody's life.
Yes, it have. Because I feel to believe you need to go into the black neighborhood if you're fearful for your life. I don't understand how you could be fearful for your life on a black person, don't even have a weapon. A white person could go in the theater and kill 15 people, come back out, come outside with a weapon in his hand, and you don't fear for your life. Something wrong with this picture.
That is true. Something is wrong with this picture. Do you believe this is a changing point in our history with police violence among black people overall? Also, having support of other races to change this culture among black communities?
Well, a change coming, but it's not coming fast enough for me. We still have a long way to go.
Yes, we do have a long way to go. But when they had the stuff that happened with George Floyd and people was protesting in the street, what was amazing to me that other races was participating that was young. You saw white, Asian Americans, and Hispanics. And the reason is because everybody is so darn tired of overall of seeing this on television.
Yes, that was good to see different race out there. But the thing about it, they out there, but is they gonna stick together? You know, I don't need you to just be out here today and next week. You know, the group is broke up.
Well, that is true, but I believe that it's going to stick out together. And the reason why is the younger generation believes this more than the older generation, because the older generation sees race, but the current generation do not. Because the reason is they all mingle all together and socialize all together. Back then, other people did not think that was a great thing.
Yeah, that's true. We coming together a different race, but the thing about it, we need to stick together like that. Not just when for violence against police. We need to stick together on black crime. You know, y'all, every crime, everyone needs to stick together on. I don't care what color you is.
Yeah, everybody do need to stick together.
Yeah, that's life. Because back in Martin Luther King days, people getting hoes on them, dogs on them. But now, in 2021, they're trying to bring us right back to that same state.
Yes, they are trying to bring us back to that state, but the only difference of it is it's just in a different way. In a different way is want to go ahead and start killing African Americans and people that don't need to be killed in the first place over some petty stuff that's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, you lose your life. A pack of cigarettes, and a smoking weed, you lose your life. And I understand how the policeman could overkill. How you can shoot somebody 59 times? I want to know when you shot him 58, was he still moving?
That is, a lot of them, they just kept doing it because they just was in that moment. But you may be in that moment, but that don't mean you need to keep on doing it.
No, they're doing it, and not only that, they're doing it because they figure they could do it and they could get away with it. You know how many black lives lost their lives? This is the first time, to be honest with you, that you see a police officer getting arrested for committing a crime. And what I heard, they're trying to go back to court. He don't. I don't believe he's gonna serve him much time. I believe it'll probably be about less than 5 years because that's how he is.
Why you believe he gonna have the right amount of time while in jail?
I don't believe they're gonna let him serve that much. I believe they're gonna try to do a retrial and they're gonna cut his sentence. And first of all, they're gonna say good behavior. And I don't know why y'all talking about good behavior because he sure had no good behavior on George's neck.
With the Black Lives Matter movement continuing to uplift the Black community, with all the violence that has hurt Black community mentally and physically, do you believe the Black Lives Matter organization is having support it needs to change the outcome of the violence?
Yes, I believe they have the support they need. And I also believe those in office, in politics, they need to get off their behind and also and help.
Yes, they do need to help more because the Black Lives Matter movement can't do this by itself. It takes a lot of support and people that needs to be involved. All they can do is just continue enforcing what they do and educate everybody about what is offered. And the Black Lives Matter movement is a great thing. I'm glad that it was created. It was created when Trayvon Martin ended up getting killed by the police.
Yes, it is a good thing. And like I said, those who in leadership, I know we're not talking about voting, but I really believe that, we always go out for the president, vote for presidents and stuff. We need to go start voting for the DA and the prosecutor and the judge, because those the ones that hold those police officers in their hands.
Yes, those do hold those people in their hands, and a lot of people do need to vote because if you vote on a local level, you can control the people who in office that can protect your city with the police and the people who also with the judges. we can make the decisions instead of them make the decisions for us.
That's right, because like I said earlier, we the taxpayer. We paying their taxes. And like I said, these police officers, the corrupt ones, need to get out of office. To me, personally, it's my opinion, they act like gang members.
And even though that what she just say mean act like gang members, if you look at it in history, basically a gang member is about the same in some kind of way, especially you look up the mafia movies, basically. And those are different type of gangs, it's just secretly. And the police force is not secretly, but they do stuff in the opening. But they try to maybe be secretly, but these days they're letting everything just hang out how they feel.
Yes, they still are. And like I said, they commit crime, you got them on body cam, and the judge is still letting them go, and the prosecutor still letting them go. Everyone could see, what they did to this person. How you gonna shoot someone with no weapon and you fear for your life? And how can you shoot someone in the back of the head? You don't see their front and they don't see your front. They going on, walking on, and you gonna shoot them like an animal in the middle of a street. It is so sad. Like I said, get off the force. Get your tail off the force. If you want to go rough up something, go work for the garbage truck and throw the garbage can.
Well, I enjoy interviewing today on consulting between friends.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what you thought about the questions I asked you?
They were very informative.
Anything else you have to say about it?
I'm glad you invited me to be your guest. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Interview 3, David, my brother, 36 years old. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. And my guest for today is David, which is my brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
How was your day?
It was good.
Well, I know you have a child. How's your child doing?
She's doing well. She's just running around living the best life.
Well,
She
that's
said
nice
she's
to
living
say.
her best life.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get started.
Okay.
With all the problems we are facing today's society with police killings, how does this make you feel mentally?
Well, I mean, it weighs a lot on my mind. Not like every day, all day, because I mean, as you know, in our society, it seems like something like that is happening every day between like Black Lives Matter or anti-Semitism or I mean, I think that's how you pronounce it. Well, just people having issues with the Jewish community and the Asian community. Everybody seems to be going through something every single day. So it doesn't weigh on my mind super heavy because it's almost like it doesn't turn off because there's so many killings or so many situations like that every single day. It's it's kind of I guess the best way to say it is I'm numb to it at this point. But I mean, I'm still concerned because like I said, I have a daughter of my own. I have a family. I have a wife. I have a child. I want to make sure that my family is always taken care of. So I want to make sure that my family doesn't have to face any situations like that. I mean, in today's society, there's not really much that you can do to stop it. But I want to at least be prepared for it so that my family can be fine. So yeah, it's something it stays in my mind. It's never too far gone, I guess to say.
Well, all that makes sense to you, and it's good that you have it on your mind because you do have a family. But I know you mentioned about the Jews. So, what made you mention about the other race, the Jewish people?
Well, I mean, because we're all Americans. We're all in this world together. We're all humans. Everybody had situations that's going on. And I don't think one situation is worse than the other. I just think that all the situations are bad. Like I said, when COVID came out, everybody was attacking Asian Americans. With all the stuff that's going on between Israel and Palestine, all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East, all the stuff that's happening in China, all the stuff that's happening in South America and Middle America and all these different places. There's something always going on. And I think the world won't be a better place until we get to a point to where, you know, we can come together as a people. So until that day happens, all these situations are going to constantly be on my mind because I don't want anybody to have to suffer if they don't have to. You know, if you have to suffer because how you was born or who you were born as or what country or what religion, that shouldn't matter. What should matter is if are you a good person or not? Like if you're an asshole, you're still an asshole.
Well, that's
Regardless
true
of
as well.
yeah, regardless of what race you are, what religion you believe in, or whatever. You know, if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. Like I don't want to be around assholes. I want to be around good people. So, you know, if we can't accept one another, how can we be around the good people? You know, because I might end up missing out on somebody who could be my best friend or somebody who could be my next business partner, someone who could hook me up with a new job, a new career, put me on something with some stocks or some bonds or something like that. You never know. So you might be that might be the person that may put me on the tip for the next cryptocurrency, and I can use that to invest in to help my family get to a better situation in life. So why would I not be not why would I try to not accept somebody for who they are if they're willing to accept me for who I am? Just because of their religion or just because of the color of their skin. I think that's ignorant. And I think as just a society where we live, we should be able to do better.
Yeah, all that's true. I do agree with that. We all should be better.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing fine. I'm enjoying interviewing you today, my brother. Now we're
Well,
about to go
thanks.
to the next question. You're welcome. How were you feeling when you heard the different testimonies from the young people who witnessed the most horrible scene of police killing of an unarmed black man, as we all know is George Floyd?
Well, while the George Floyd trial was going on, I didn't really get to really just keep up with it, watch it. I mean, I heard the outcome that Derek Chauvin was found guilty. But I heard some of the testimony. The older gentleman that was testifying with his glasses on and everything, an old man crying and everything like that. That kind of stuff. It it touched me because obviously we're all the same. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what we're doing, where we come from. We're all the same. To see something like that, to be right there and to see it, and then to see that man just die in front of you like that, to see
Hmm.
a life just end right in front of you. Fortunately, I've never seen anything like that. I haven't seen anybody just pass away right in front of me. So I haven't seen just a light drip out of someone's eyes. And honestly, I don't ever want to see that. It's one thing to see it in a movie or on a TV show because that's make believe, that's pretend, but it's not when it's in real life. That person is never coming back. I don't know what I would do if I was to see something like that. I don't want to see anything like that. And I mean, when I heard some of the testimonies, you could see that those people were shook up by that. They're not the same anymore. It's one thing to believe that the police aren't on my side, or the police gonna be after me because I'm black, or because I'm Asian, or because I'm Palestinian. There's one thing to assume that the police are gonna come after you for that. But if it never really happens to you, then all it is just it's something that could happen. But then to actually see it happen and know that, oh wow, this is the same community I live in. This is the same convenience store that I go to. This is the same street that I walk up and down with my family. This could happen to me right here where I live. Everybody always sees their home as their castle or their place of, I guess, the place where they can go to just be safe. And it's scary. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a scary situation to feel like your home is not safe. That's your castle. That's the place you're supposed to feel the safest. And then the people that's supposed to be there to protect you aren't protected. So I don't I don't know how I would feel if I was those people. I don't know how I would feel if I was in that situation because it just seems hard. I don't. I wouldn't, like Dave Chappelle said, I mean, I want to call the police too. I want to be able to make sure that I'm safe. I want to make sure that my family's safe. If somebody's in my yard, I want to be able to call the police and say, hey, somebody's in my yard. They obviously crazy. Come please pick them up. But just
Hmm.
because they're crazy, I don't want the police to show up and shoot them and kill them.
That's true.
I want them to take them somewhere. I want those people to get the help that they deserve. The help that they need. Like I said, if I was in that community, if I saw that situation, I wouldn't be the same. And I couldn't understand why anybody would be the same after that. I mean,
Well,
it's a lot.
you made a lot of good points that I like what you said about family, and then you wouldn't know how you would act because all those people there who witness it, they're going to be terrorized and have mental issues for a very long time.
Right? Yeah. I mean, like I said, how do you move past that? It takes time. Yeah, we have to move past everything, but not everybody has the ability to get the mental help that they need. Not everybody has the best insurance the way they can get the psychiatric help that they need to talk to somebody. Not everybody goes to their pastor. Not everybody goes to their friends or their mom, or their family. Like that. Not everybody does that. Some people need a professional to step in to give them the type of reassurance that they need to look at things differently. And not everybody has those resources, especially in our community. So, I mean, that's something that we all need to reach out for. That's something that we all need to get better at. We all carry some kind of trauma, so we need to work on resolving that so we can become better people and move on forward. Because if you let all that stuff in the past hold you back, you never gonna move forward to get to someplace better.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, all that's is true. You making some really good points. I'm enjoying this interview.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying it as well.
Well, I was just going to ask you two questions, but I'm going to give you one more because
Okay.
I'm enjoying it, and this is going to be the last one.
Okay.
Do you believe this is a changing point in our history with police violence among Black people overall? Also, having support of other races to change this culture among Black communities.
Okay. Well, I guess the first part, do I believe that things are getting better for Black people? I don't know. Honestly, I really don't because, especially, I mean, not to cliche it Black History Month, but, just over the last year with all the stuff that happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and so many other names on the list, I really, it really took me back to just listening to the struggle of our community, the struggle of our people, going back to listening to Martin Luther King speeches, listening to Malcolm X speeches, listening to uh, just a whole bunch of people, from that time, seeing what's going on. And when I listened to the speeches that Malcolm X was talking about, not a lot has changed. He the same struggles that he was talking about then, we're still talking about now. And yeah, we've achieved new heights in society. We've become millionaires. We've become billionaires. We're business owners. We've always done these things. Our community has always put out people that have changed the world. So we've always had that ability. But we always have to do it with so much adversity. Just think of what the world could be like if we had the chance to just thrive without all the adversity behind, without all the racism because of color of our skin, because people see us as inferior when we're on the same level as they are. No one is inferior to anyone. No race is better than the other. Everyone has good and bad traits to everyone, to every race, to every creed, every color. So I don't think that's something that we should be holding people back for. And like I said, I don't think that so much has changed. I've tried talking to older citizens that see what they think of people that's been around for a lot longer. Because like I said, I'm only 36. I'm not that old. I'm only been on this world, on this planet for 36 years, and a lot of that I was I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't paying attention to everything. So, things have gotten better in some regards, but in others, they're still the same. We still face brutality from the police in many communities. We still face inequity when it comes to getting homes, because of redlining. We still face inequities when it comes to work because we're not seen as valuable as other people, or we're not seen as capable as other people. So we're at a disadvantage from that as well. And as far as other communities, like I said, any community that's in struggle, you know, they all have a valid point. If if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic, if you're Latin American, if you're Russian, if you're Jewish, if you're Palestinian, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different people all around the world. If you're in a situation where the color of your skin or your political beliefs or your sexuality or who you choose to love, who you choose not to love, those things are holding you back in society. Why does that even matter? Is
No, it
your
shouldn't matter.
it shouldn't. Your community is your community. If I'm not, if I don't like, if I was to say I don't like somebody who eats ice cream, who eats strawberry ice cream in particular, that's my problem. That's not theirs. They just like the ice cream. So why do I have to go beef with them just because they like it and I don't? Well, I don't have to eat it. I don't know what the problem is. If it's not your world, why do we even care? Their world is not going to influence yours. It's not like you're going to see them every day. The only time you're going to see people is when you're at work, you're at church, or you're at home, grocery
Mhm.
store, stuff like that. Most of the time, you're in your own little world anyway. If your world is covered with hate, then all you're going to see is hate. If you can find joy in things, you won't have to live a life of such darkness. So why are you taking that time to bring everybody down? Try to find light in your life. I get it. Not everybody has the best situation. Not everybody has like a perfect home situation, but you have to choose to be happy. You have to choose to accept people. You have to choose to be a better person. And if you don't do that, then how can you expect anything to be better? I can't blame I can't blame Bill, Bob, and John down the street for my situations. I gotta accept that. If I'm not where I want to be at in life, that's my fault. I
Mhm.
can accept that, but I can't accept I'm being in a situation because of the color of my skin, or the
Mhm.
religion that I believe in, or the political structure that I believe in. That shouldn't be a reason to hold me back, especially if I'm not holding other people back. If I'm not holding you to those standards, then why am I being held to those standards? So like I said, all the communities, they all have situations, they all have inequities in wherever they're at. You know, I know like everybody's always talking about, well, not always talking about, but people talk about reparations. Why doesn't the black community get their reparations? Where does the 40 acres and a mule come from? Like all these different things. Why 40 acres and a mule? Like everybody would say that kind of stuff. Especially like I remember when Roots came out back in the day. Everybody was talking about the 40 acres and a mule and all that stuff. When they was
Mhm.
doing like the 20th anniversary of the movie, everybody was talking about stuff like that and reparations for slavery and everything like that. We've given reparations in our country before. We've given reparations to the Asian community during, what was it, World War I or World War II, where we put them in internment camps. In America, that happened here. So America is not above doing anything. 2020 should have told everybody that. They just gave money away for free. You know,
Mhm.
$12,000 here, $600 there, and $12,000 here. This country can do what it wants to do. We're just all players. We're just here on this planet, in this country, wherever we're at. We got to work within the political systems, but we need to work together. We don't need to be taking the time to hold each other back for things that we can't change. So why is it even an issue?
Yeah. That was deep what you just said. That was really deep, and that was good. And a lot of that
Thank you.
is a lot. You're welcome. A lot of that really is true because equity and people having a place to stay, and then people having a good job, and whatever they may want to do in life, things shouldn't stop them, but things do end up stopping people because other people don't support each other or races don't agree.
Right. And it's like why are we taking the time to fight over things like that? Just in America, there's places where they don't even fresh water. Why did all this? I mean, when you look back at the stuff that happened in Flint, Michigan, why did that happen? You look around our country. There's so many places where roads need to be fixed, bridges need to be fixed, schools need to be repaired, schools need new books, they need updated systems. All those situations. We Those are things that we need to be focusing on. The energy crisis. Why with Texas, they just had the freeze that came through
Yeah.
because Texas is on their own energy grid. Those are things that we need to be fixing now, but we're not doing that right now. We're patching things up. We need our infrastructure to be fixed. We're getting further behind other countries in the world just because we're not focusing on these issues that we can fix. So why are we squabbling about little things? Why are we worried about little things? Let's work together. Let's be a truly unified country. Let's do this. Like if if the people that don't want to be around you because you're black, white, or Asian or whatever, well, just go somewhere else. Go live in your house. If you want to be a shut-in, go do that because no one else is trying to be. If that's what you want, if you want to be uh, a race person that don't want to deal with anybody else, that's fine. Go live on, go work your job or wherever it is that you do. Go order your food from Uber Eats. Have them drop it at your door so you don't have to see the people that's dropping it off. Go. You don't want to see those people in the grocery store. Fine. There's a service for that. Use one of those services and get them to drop your groceries off at your house. Then you don't never have to see those people. You'll never have to encounter. We live in a world today where you literally do not have to interact with people if you don't want to. So why
Mhm.
are you going out your way to go interact with the people that you don't like? If you don't like black people, why are you going to Black Lives Matter rallies and telling them to go home? Why don't you go mind your own business and just go sit in a cave somewhere? Go somewhere else. Because your point of view, your thought process is not wanted. So just move around. I don't understand.
Well, you made some good points. Yeah, there's a lot of different services out there what we have in the world now that if you don't want to be around nobody, you don't have to.
Yeah. Amazon sends medicine out. Now those
Hmm.
little pill pack things. So I mean, you can get your medicine straight from Amazon.
Hmm.
The only time you really have to go get a warehouse job, then you'll only see the people that you work around. Go get an office job to where you work at home and you don't have to do anything. Or you know what? If you can't get any of that kind of stuff, that's your problem. That's your life. But that's not Billy Bob or John down the street why you didn't get that job. You were the reason you didn't get that job. So figure out figure out what it is that you need to fix on your end to get to the point that you're trying to get to. Have some goals for yourself and start checking those things off and move towards
Well, brother, you made some good points. I enjoy interviewing you today on Consulting
it. Thank
Between
you.
Friends. You're welcome. So, how do you thought about the
I
interview?
enjoy. I think it was good. I like the questions. I like the structure that you got going for the show, and I listened to a couple of episodes, and they're really intriguing. So I'm glad that I could be a part of it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I asked you.
You're welcome. I'm glad you asked me.
You're welcome. Well, once again, thank you for being a part of Consulting Between Friends.
I will. Hey, before I go, if anybody's interested, they got some time, y'all could check me out on YouTube at my view underscore my world. I got a channel up there. It's all one word. You can also check me out on Instagram at myview.art. Find me there, and you can find me on Facebook at myview underscore my world. Same, and just people reach out. we're all out here. We all part of the same community. Let's grow. Let's do some things together. Let's build together. Let's become a better society together.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I really enjoyed this, brother.
Oh, no problem, Mike. I enjoyed it too.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Interview 4, Rotella, 40 years old, who is living in Germany. Today, I'm going to interview my friend, Rotella. Right now, she's in Germany, and I'm welcoming her to Consulting Between Friends.
Hello, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. How's the weather right now in Germany?
The weather right now in Germany is pretty cold and wet. I hear you guys are getting a lot of rain in Louisiana.
Yes, we have been getting a lot of rain. It has been coming in Baton Rouge. But in New Orleans today, it's a nice sunny day.
That's wonderful. I really miss the sunshine. My vitamin D is super low.
Well, I have invited you on the show today because I want to ask you a few questions. And so now we're about to get ready to start. Now, if you feel comfortable answering these here, I really appreciate it. I know it's going to be some hot topics that I'm about to ask you.
Bring them on. Let's go.
With all the problems we are facing today's society with police killings, how does this make you feel mentally?
Mentally, it is exhausting. People should be able to feel like they can trust the police to help them because that's what their job is designed to do. They're in the helping profession. A lot of people are afraid of police. That's draining. Go ahead.
That is true. A lot of people are afraid of police. It's draining, like you said, but that don't mean that we can't resolve the problem.
That's correct. All problems with human nature can be resolved.
That is right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for responding to this question.
You're welcome.
How you feel right now?
In regard to police officers,
Yes.
Michael, I've honestly never had a bad experience with a police officer. Personally, I have not. And I can only attribute that to the way my parents raised me. However, I know plenty of other people have had very different experiences with police officers.
That is
And
true.
I sympathize with those who have had bad encounters. I've had a police officer stop and help me change a flat twice in my life. And it's not because I'm so cute, because I'm not. They just did. I didn't even ask. However, other people have been murdered by police officers, and they didn't ask for that either. So I'm lucky to be alive. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that my parents, they have survived brutality from police officers, but in their experiences, they have trained me and my siblings to just, kind of just relax and chill and be friendly as possible when we have to deal with police officers. And sometimes that's not even good enough. So
Yeah,
I'm
that is
grateful.
definitely not good enough. And I haven't had a problem too much with encounter with police. I have been lucky as well. When you heard how the police killed George Floyd, what were you thinking at that time?
He's not going to go to jail. That was honestly my first thought. I thought about Trayvon Martin, and I thought about Breonna Taylor and how nothing happened when they were murdered. Nothing happened. So I just was like, okay. How did you feel watching it? Is it okay for me to ask you that?
That's totally fine. We're gonna go back and forth.
How did you feel when you saw that?
What I felt, I couldn't believe it was really on television. And just seeing how it was, it just made me feel so sad and depressed as well. And then also you can tell by looking at it that the police who was kneeling on George Floyd's neck at the time we did not know it was George Floyd, but when we found out it was him, basically, you can tell that he was basically didn't seem like he really cared as much as him as a person.
Correct. I saw that too. That gave, I can't speak for myself, but seeing the look in his eye made me feel so hopeless because watching that man take another man's life while other people watched him do it, it made me feel like my life meant nothing to someone else in his position. And that is a very hopeless feeling to have when you know that someone will just murder you in broad daylight on camera because they feel like they're going to get away with it.
Yeah, that is true. And he shouldn't have done that, but it was obvious that he wasn't really trying to make it be a scene that nobody couldn't see. Because they had other officers there and they was
Yeah.
just trying to do their job and so on. But they were actually involved in it as well. How you feel about that?
I feel like they were involved because they've been trained to know what excessive force is when it's necessary. And according to all of the documentation and what do you call it? The people that were in the trial. I don't know what you call them, Michael, but they all said it. Like that was entirely unnecessary. Like George Floyd was laying on the ground, drooling, breathing in his own spit. Like, how can you keep hurting somebody? How can you continue to restrain them and they can't even move?
Yeah, that is true. Well, I
I
do
wish I
like
could
what
have said that. The people who gave testimony, that's what I wanted to say. The testimony was supporting that it was unnecessary. That's what I meant to say.
well,
Sorry.
for what you just said is that's going to lead to the next question I'm about to get ready to ask you. How were you feeling when you heard the different testimonies from the young people who witnessed the most horrible scene of police killings of unarmed black man, who we all know is George Floyd?
Wow. So let me say this let me start off by answering that unbiased. George Floyd could have not been black. He could have been white, Hispanic. He could have been Native American. If I had to watch an officer, I won't say anyone, but if I had to watch an officer murder someone in front of me and I was one of those young people, I would be traumatized myself. Listening to their testimony, like they all felt so hopeless, so ashamed that they watched it and did nothing other than video. Listening to them express how they wish they could have done something to save this man's life, they have to live with that forever. And that's a big burden for a young person to have to live with. And I think it's horrible. It's horrible. Um, I'm a student now, I'm doing my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And all of those people will need a lot of counseling, like seriously,
Yeah,
to
it's true.
learn
They're
to
going
accept, what they saw and
yeah,
process it.
they all gonna need a lot of counseling because that's something they're
Yeah,
never gonna forget about.
no. I was listening to the news the other day. Excuse me. The jurors from the Casey Anthony trial, I think I'm saying it right, Casey Anthony, they were all saying that like this trial is 10 years old and that they think about it at least once a day, that a lot
Mhm.
of them regret how they ruled in the case because now that they've gotten out of the case and their life is going on, they all think she's guilty
Yeah,
and
so
they
that
have to
means
live with that.
it's not
Go
gonna
ahead.
go it's not gonna go out their head at all. It's sad
No,
that they had to witness it, but
yeah.
it just happened.
Michael, it is very sad. It is very sad and very traumatizing. Everyone that gave testimony that was a physical witness was very traumatized, and that breaks my heart. It's like they died with him,
Hmm.
and that's so sad. They have my deepest sympathy and compassion because they have to live with that for the rest of their lives. We all watched it on film, but they watched it with their own two eyes. Ugh, I can't
Yeah,
imagine what they feel.
yeah. That's just like the guy who was on the stand who
Hmm.
did the fake dollar bill. He was working the store. He felt like he
Yeah,
shouldn't told, and
yeah,
ever since then,
yeah,
he said basically, I can't even live above the store no more because that's traumatized
correct.
me. I just need to go away.
Yep, he said he didn't work there anymore. He don't go to that part of town anymore. I heard that. That is deep.
Yeah, that
That's
is
like
deep.
being physically assaulted in your house, and then you leave the house, you leave your neighborhood. He's like, nope, I don't want to be in this environment anymore. I cannot do it.
Well, I can
Man,
tell so far we're having a good conversation. I'm enjoying this. Are you enjoying this as well?
I am too. I wish I could get my words right, but I'm sure you'll fix it or not. It doesn't matter.
Well, you're doing fine.
Thank you. Please tell your audience. So even though I live in Germany, I am a country girl. So if you hear me say y'all or I talk long or say some words improperly, I'm just doing the best I can.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, man.
Do you believe this is a changing point in our history with police violence among Black people overall? Also, having support of other races to change this culture among Black communities?
Mm, Michael, I believe we've had lots of starting points that didn't go anywhere. Trayvon Martin to me was a recent starting point that really affected me because, I mean, not to take light off of George Floyd, he is definitely a starting point. When Trayvon Martin was shot unarmed by George Zimmerman, literally for no reason, because George was suspicious of nothing, it broke my heart because I have nephews that are Black, that are tall, that look like adults, but they are the sweetest boys ever. And it could have been one of them very easily. In America, again, just dropped the not America, because America cared. The justice system dropped the ball again. Just bam, no
Yeah.
justice served at all. That was, and it still breaks my heart that his parents have to live with that. So, as I said, by the time I saw what happened to George, I was like the justice system cares. And that's sad to say that, but that's literally how I felt. Like, do y'all don't care. You don't care. So to see that they actually, and I'm not even sure, maybe it was COVID-19, maybe it was because Donald Trump was out of office. I don't know. But to see justice served, kind of, is shocking to me because they have a history of just they in the judicial system of just turning a blind eye or having a trial and then it's like innocent or a very somewhat lesser charge than what they actually did. So I
Yeah.
forgot what the real question was. Go ahead. I
No,
got off on a tangent.
you answered it very well. Well, I do like what you said about what you mean about George Floyd. I do believe it's a changing point, but I really think the reason why it would change the world and change America is because of COVID-19, because everybody was stuck in their house. So it gave them an opportunity to really go outside and protest. But I know everybody had to feel the same pain, seeing that tape over and over again with the reaction
Yes.
of a person being died in front of your eyes. If that don't hurt you, I don't know what to say.
And okay, so you just hit another good topic. So some of the police officers that provided testimony during the trial, it did not hurt them. They were on stand looking like statues. And I was like, oh, okay, here are the good old boys. I knew they were somewhere lurking around supporting this murderer. And look, everyone's a child of God. Okay, including what's his name? Mr. Chauvin, whoever he
Yes.
is. I'm sure that Jesus loves him too. But people who commit murder should be, I don't know how to say it, punished.
Yeah,
It's if I did it, I'd be punished. I don't know what
that's
makes him
true.
so different. Like I would get the same, I would probably get it worse than him.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's true. We will get it worse than him.
It is. They would beat my skull in, But yeah. And so I hope he knows Jesus. I hope he finds Jesus while he's in jail, serving his time. And I mean, it brought about a lot of, I hate to say, changes because now they have George Floyd Circle in the intersection where he was killed. And there's a lot of police reform going on. And I think people of all races, so let me talk about this. People of all races. So here in Germany, during that time, we had protests here in Germany. They were very structured, very organized. You had to, because you had to submit a request to have a protest here. because Germans don't play that. Play that meaning how Americans will talk back to police in America and get away with it. You don't do that here. They will beat your head in quick.
Yes, indeed.
So in Germany, just bringing this up too, I'm not Black here. I am a Westerner, an American. They will beat my American ass because I'm not German. You said I could say one bad word, so there it is. In Germany, they do not play like that. If you are a white American, Indian American, Native American, yeah, you're the Westerner, you're getting beat up. So don't even play. If they ask you a question, you better answer. Don't say nothing crazy. Saying all that to say this, we had protests and stuff here, and it reflects and shows, not shows, put a light on the inequalities all over America, even here in Germany. Like people that from Turkey who have been in Germany for the last 3 or 4 generations. Some Germans still, don't call them Germans, but they're Turkish Germans. Just like we have people, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's some interesting facts that you mentioned about German. I do like how you mentioned how they did protest up there in Germany. And I did like that a lot of people was wanted to actually do it. Now, I also like how you mentioned that they actually was paying attention who was protesting and how they were doing it.
Yes, they allow us to protest with a request, and you can do it. You cannot get violent because, again, they will not spare your life. If you were German, they would probably give you a little more leniency. But non-Germans, not gonna happen.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it's all my people in America. What do they call it? You think you got police brutality. Some cases there is a lot of brutality there, and I wish that all encounters with police officers were good. The times I've been stopped by German police here, I just talked to them and smiled, and they wrote me a ticket, and I said, "Thank you, officer." I took my ticket and left. It was a speeding ticket, obviously. But like if they pull you over for indecent exposure or drunk driving or you have an accident, they come with a very different attitude.
That makes some sense. That means they don't play and they're making sure that people don't ruin their life.
They don't. They'll kill you. And they'll be in the right. It won't even be a case.
Now that's horrible.
They will be in the right. They don't. So that's the point I'm trying to make. So like in America, it's questionable. But in Germany, there's no questions asked about that. If a police officer has to hurt you, you have done something to deserve it. So that's why, like when you get your German license, they tell you, hey, when you sign this, you agree to do these things. And so they make you read off this list out loud. You agree to not drive drunk. If a policeman pulls you over, you agree to a search. You agree to be tested, to have a urinalysis on site if the policeman tells you to do that. You can't say no. The moment you say no or do anything that's out of line, they can arrest you. And if you try to fight them, they can kill you.
That's a lot you just said. That's going to have a lot of people thinking.
Don't come over here acting crazy. I'm telling you, it's rough. So yeah, you have to like be on the straight and narrow all the time. Because if you are allowed to drive here, that means that you agree to all of these rules. And they expect you to know them and abide by them. And if you don't, they expect you to pay the consequences.
So, German police, once again, if you go visit Germany, don't play with them.
Do
They're nothing to play
not,
with.
please,
Listen to what they tell you to do.
please, please. You'll get your head cracked. Telling you, it's rough. It's rough on these strassers. Can't wait to come back to America. If I speed, the policeman might flirt with me and let me go. That's a, you know what that's like? That don't happen here. Woo-hoo. In America, though, they might say, "Oh, you keep going." I ain't gonna do that over here in Germany.
That's something right there. Well,
They have. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm off the topic. We're talking about George.
it's more than that. So, with
Okay.
all the Black Lives Matter movement continuing to uplift the Black community, with all the violence that has hurt Black communities mentally and physically, do you believe the Black Lives Matter organization is having the support it needs to change the outcome of violence?
Now, why you got to bring up Black Lives Matter? But okay, this is a podcast. Let me tell you what I think. Black Lives Matter is funded by the Democratic Party. And I do not know personally that I agree with their mission statement that I saw on their website, because they do not try, or they do not advocate to stop community violence. They target police brutality. But I know for a fact, because I'm Black and because I have Black relatives that have been killed by other Black people, that the law of proximity, I'm not being, what's the word? I'm not saying black people are not killed by police, because they are. I'm saying more Black people get killed by other Black people. And my personal opinion, I wish Black Lives Matter would work harder to stop gun violence in neighborhoods, to stop drug dealers who bring in guns in neighborhoods. So I get that they have a voice. I think having a voice is great. I think having a platform is great. But I also feel like they missing the picture, because I look at the news I don't look at the news every night. That's a lie. When I see news from Louisiana, it's gun violence. It's in neighborhoods that I know, neighborhoods in Shreveport and Bossier and Natchitoches and Lake Charles and Leesville. It's gun violence. Have you heard about it lately? I know you have.
Yeah, violence a lot. They had a shooting in New Orleans maybe about a week ago. You hear it all the time on the news. It's sad, but it's
Oh,
it's just it's just true. But you're right. I do believe, since you mentioned about the Black Lives Matter movement, I do believe that they should mostly educate the people in the community for Blacks to stop violence and gun shooting, because that is something that should stop in our own communities. And I don't believe that the Black Lives Matter is just trying to just only deal with the Black people as well. They are for Black people, because that's what it's mostly about. But they do need to educate more the Black community on a violent level. It don't have to just be about police. But the reason why it became about police is because when it first started with Trayvon Martin and so on, which was really bad for us overall. But mention about the Black Lives Matter, I believe that they are doing good things, but just like you said, that's some other stuff they can look into.
It is. And I hope they look into it sooner than later. They had this one idea that I really think would work, and it was called community policing. And I believe community policing would work because in a village, so in Germany, we live in villages. Most of the time, we police ourselves in our village. And usually the elders of the community will help resolve problems. Like if you're new to the village, it's someone older that'll help you out, like give you advice, how to resolve problems with your neighbor. most of the time, they'll tell you what the rule is, what the law is. You need to follow this rule. You need to follow this law. Okay, you're breaking the rules. You're breaking the law. It's going to get you in trouble. Like we have a curfew that's 10 o'clock. Well, you want to have a party past 10. If you want to have a party past 10 and get away with it and have someone not call the police on you, you need to ask your neighbors not to report you. And so that goes back to like that community type of respect and just getting along with the people around you. And I think I would hope that could work in, let's just say, a Black community. Take your community. I mean, what could you guys commute? Could you guys commute yourselves? Could Runningmead police themselves?
Yes, I do believe that, because we do have a neighborhood watch system here, and we also do have a community organization here, and my mom belongs to Westminster Civic Association.
So see, I mean, that right there is evidence that it could work. So if you guys maybe put it in a booklet or put it in a video or something, maybe you could package it and distribute it and say, hey, this is a model of what community policing looks like. And maybe it could work in other communities. But that to me would help a lot with community violence.
Yeah, that is true. But the other part of it that also goes is the other people in the community has to want to change. And they also got to have people who really want to really volunteer their time to do it. Some people are scared to even just mention something happened in the neighborhood, which is sad as well.
That's true. So where my dad lives, they used to be able to police themselves and like just, talk about everything amongst themselves. But some of his neighbors started getting guns and getting violent. And now whenever there's a problem, the police normally have to be called because some people are foolish, ignorant, whatever the word is. And now they resort to violence as opposed to talking. When it used to just be able to just talk about the problems, and, come to a compromise. So that's what you just said, people wanting to do that. And so I would love to live in a community where everybody wanted to talk about the issues. And that way the police only have to come, if we explicitly cannot resolve it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Me too.
Well, that actually was like my last question for you.
No.
So what you thought about what the questions I asked you? I actually came up with them all myself.
I thought those were really good questions. I feel like because I love Jesus, I don't want to see harm come to anybody, like regardless of race. I do feel like certain groups, maybe I don't know, Michael, if it's just the media painting this picture or if it's reality. What's his name? You remember the Attorney General Barr?
Yeah, that sounds familiar, yes.
So I remember when they were talking to him about police violence and reformation, he said, you can Google this, he said it, that more white people are killed by police than Black people. And I said, he said it like real smugly, like, this is just the facts. You guys are, that you're wrong. And the media does have a way of saying this word, blah, 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 Black, blah, 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 blah. Well, what race is everyone else that's injured and hurt and put on the news? You don't know. Because they only say it when someone's Black. They never tell you if a person is Latino or if they're white or if they're Asian. When there was this thing recently targeting Asian Americans, they were getting vandalized and beat up. I was in a nail shop one night during this time. It was like 7:00 p.m. And I'm thinking about this because I'm in Germany in an Asian American nail shop. What if somebody come by here and throw a bomb in here on us?
Yeah.
And then it hit me how much Asian crime goes on that's not reported.
Yeah, that
Because
is true.
if you ask a person, so I'm asking the people in the nail shop about how they experience violence. Everyone in there says yes, that they've been discriminated against, had their life threatened, had people yell, really ugly names at them, tell them to go back to China. He's like, I'm not Chinese. Because
Yeah.
they're not. Anyway, my point is how much of the media is hyping this up to make it seem like it's a Black problem when it's a people problem, when this is happening to everybody, but they're only making it seem like it happens to one group of people, and that's not right. If that's the case, then Black Lives Matter needs to advocate for everyone who is being oppressed and, I hate to say demonized, but shit, they're not being demonized, but it seems like demons are trying to get them.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a group of people trying to run Asians out of their neighborhood. I mean, who does that?
Yeah, that is true. And then, like, since you mentioned about the Asian population, they are minority people as well. So,
Yes,
so it's sad that they have to go through some of this stuff as well. The only difference is it's a different level.
it is. And it doesn't get reported. And that's what's so sad. It doesn't get reported. The things that happen to Native Americans getting told to go back to their country. I'm like, what are you saying? This is their country.
Yeah, that's
They were
true.
here first.
Mm-hmm.
Where can they go? You want to go to Mexico? Okay, whatever. That makes no sense. You want to go to Canada?
Well, that just
People
like
are.
that just like when you said that go back to your country. Now I remember when I went to Africa in Nairobi, Kenya in 2018. When we were there.
Mhm.
Um, if you're Black from America, they don't claim you that you're from Africa. I learned that one.
Oh man. Okay, so I don't want to say my sister, but I'll say it in French. My sœur is from Senegal. My sœur is French for my sister. Um, she is my neighbor. Oh my gosh. So I absolutely love this woman. And I'll send you some pictures. She got me, and I hate to say authentic because that's like such an overused word, but she got me this custom made dress. It's an African dress from Senegal. Man, and then she teaches me all of these African dishes. Michael, she's like, well, tell her you're my sister. You are my American sister. I was like, yes. She was like, come to Senegal with me this summer. I was like, oh my God, yes. Why? Because like I can totally understand how you got a completely different experience going to Nairobi. But
Mhm.
man, so all the women that I've met that are African are just like, well, tell her you'll love it there.
Mhm.
And she's from Senegal. I have another friend, two ladies who are from Cameroon, and another one from the Ivory Coast, and another one from Togo. Ah, I cannot get enough of these women. And the food that they cook, they're always teaching me recipes. They're always teaching me like skincare stuff. It's like they are nature's advocates or something. Because I have never used turmeric in my life until I met them.
Oh,
And so now I have
that's
like it's
no,
what you
no,
use on your
that's
skin.
no. I didn't know about that. Now I have took turmeric.
Yeah.
I took turmeric pills before, and
I
then the
got some.
powder.
Yep, I
Hmm.
got some.
Yeah.
I got some. So you can make a face mask out of turmeric and honey, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of lemon. Rub it on, gets rid of all of your black spots in like a week.
Oh, that's
And it's
interesting.
almost free. You just stir it up in the kitchen.
Well, I learned about turmeric from my Asian friend that I'm friends with,
Hmm.
and she taught me about turmeric, and I was surprised by it. I'm like, oh, this is actually good.
I know. And how dandelions, this is something else that got me. How dandelions, the dandelion root can cure heart disease and that it's healthy for you. But who is that company? I think it's Monsanto. They make weed killer to kill dandelions. But the chemical in the weed killer poisons people.
Oh God.
There's a community in Louisiana. I'll have to look it up and find out what it is. I mean, what the name of it is. But there's a community in Louisiana that has been poisoned by Monsanto.
Hmm.
An entire village of people with no one to protect them from this giant of a company that came in and devastated their community by building a factory there. And they ended up pumping the runoff water into the city drinking water. This happened years ago, but now the entire community is devastated and they're all
Oh,
poisoned.
oh God.
Like it's in
That's
their
something.
blood, transferred to their children.
Hmm.
Terrible.
That is
Michael, this has
horrible.
happened in more than one community in America by Monsanto. Like they are the evil that lurks in the night. I'm sorry. They are. They're evil. Because they put, okay, this is how they do it. And I know this is totally off of George Floyd, but this is what well, actually, it's kind of related. But this is what Monsanto does. They will go into a neighborhood that is poor.
Hmm.
It could be poor whites, it could be poor blacks. It's poor. They tell the government in that neighborhood, we're going to bring jobs to your community. We're going to give you money. And by the way, make sure you don't live in this area. Then the government says, okay, and they let the company in. The government allows Monsanto to come in and poison its residents. Eventually, they all die
Oh
because they're
God.
poisoned. Or sometimes someone will get an attorney if the government has, not the government, if the people in that community have support. Sometimes Monsanto will build a hospital in the community to help the people that it's hurting. And the government of that community allows it. Just imagine if this was happening in Natchitoches and the mayor of Natchitoches was like, hey, this is okay.
Hmm.
Natchitoches has enough educated people that would say no.
That is true.
Someone would stand up to them and push them out. But some of these communities, like let's say Mandeville or Chalmette, they're smaller, they don't have a lot of people there, and they might just, not say anything. They may not advocate for themselves. And so if no one stops Monsanto, who's to say someone's going to stop Derek Chauvin? But by stopping Derek Chauvin, it gives me hope that one day someone in America will stop Monsanto from poisoning Americans. But
That is true.
America has to see value in those people in that community to save their lives. Because if they don't, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah, you're right
What
about
do you
that.
think? You need to
Well,
go
what
look that up.
yeah. You put me on the spot, but it was okay.
Okay.
But
You're the
but I
boss.
do,
You're the boss.
no, but I do like how you referred it back to what we were discussing previously. Well, I enjoy interviewing you today, Rotella. And once again, thank you for being a part of Consulting Between Friends.
Michael, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And I can't wait to hear the next episode.
Thank you once again.
You're welcome. Bye.
Interview 5, David, my cousin, 28 years old. Welcome to Consulting Between Friends. My guest for today is David, my cousin.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. How was your day today?
It's been pretty good. How about yourself?
I had a good day. Are you looking forward to this interview?
Yeah, I saw the topic, man, and I'm pretty excited. Sounds good.
Let's get started. With all the problems we're facing today's society with police killings, how does this make you feel mentally?
I think it puts a little bit of stress on me on a day-to-day life. I already didn't really like police officers to begin with, and I already know they've been a problem, but I've been seeing, honestly, they've been getting to be a lot worse. It seems like there's always more and more bad things going on with the police than good. I understand. Personally, I think that the police on paper is a good idea. There should be like some type of system in place, if you will, to protect the people. But that's the sad thing, the police nowadays, it doesn't really feel like they're protecting the communities. It feels like they're doing more harm. And that's not the good thing. So I feel I try my best to honestly just avoid police. I've already, had some troubles with them in the past. And I feel like once you get in trouble with them once, it's just very easy for them to just constantly, like, just think that you're always up to something. And that's just no good, you know, for, you know, unfortunately for the black brothers and sisters that have lost their lives, they didn't even get a chance to say so. And some of these past ones have just been, they get more and more just outrageous. All of them are terrible, but it just shows the lack of, in my opinion, training, empathy, self control, and common sense, that it would take to be a police officer. You know, one of the incidents,
Well, I do like
but
some of the stuff you're talking about right now.
thank you. Police officer, she was a veteran police officer. She'd been on the force for quite some time. And in the video, she pulls out her Glock and yells, "Taser, taser, taser," and shoots this brother and kills him. And in my honest opinion, there's no way you should be a veteran police officer and ever mistake your taser for your firearm. You
You
know,
talking about the last police shooting that they just had recently, after George Floyd trial.
yes, that's it.
I couldn't believe when I heard that one. That police officer should have known what she was really doing. She'd been on the force too long to not let that go through right.
Exactly. It's insane. And I've just found the name. I'm very sorry. The young brother's name was Dante Wright, and he was killed by Kim Porter. Kim Porter was the police officer who had been on the force for quite a long time and for some reason was still able to she mistook her handgun for her taser. You know, instances like that just shouldn't happen. It's really sickening. If you are a veteran, you should have had this proper training. I am not a police officer and I could tell you the difference between a pistol and a taser. But I feel like if mistakes like this are happening, which I personally don't believe it's a mistake, let's just go with it's a mistake for semantics. If mistakes like this are happening, this is showing that clearly there's a big problem in the police force, and there needs to be a complete. They should really reevaluate the people that they have on the force. It doesn't matter how long you've been on there. Everybody should have a sit down and have a full evaluation. There should be no mistakes like this. There is no way possible that should ever happen.
Well, I do agree with what you were talking about with not having so many mistakes, especially since you've been a policewoman or a policeman so long in your career.
Exactly. And other things is, it's just cops with me. I feel it's very easy for them to get the wrong idea just because of our skin color. I watch a lot of videos about different police shootings, and I see just how they handle them differently when it's blacks black people getting killed versus white people getting shot. And usually when it's the white people getting shot, they've always done something that's really garnished them to get shot. They would have pulled a weapon and possibly shot at the police officer a few times before the police officer feels their life is in danger. But with us, the police might just pull up and instantly start shooting. And that's another thing that needs to just not happen. You need to drop the fear, and that's what it is. It must be a fear of black people when you see us and when you approach us. We're not just, you know, scary people. We're regular people too. We have lives, we have families. We would like to get home to them as well, officer. And I feel that if police officers approach the situation with black people as the same as they did with white people, things would go a lot calmer.
I do agree about all that you were saying. Well, for everything you just talked about so far in the interview, I'm really enjoying it. Now, we're about to lead to the next question. Do you believe this is a changing point in our history with police violence among Black people overall, also having support of other races to change this culture among the Black communities?
Unfortunately, I believe that this is not a changing point at all. This is just a point where we are in a technological age and we're just able to see it. Just think of the Rodney King riots. Think of how police used to deal with Black people back in the day. That's just undocumented. Think about how white people used to treat Black people, and the police would get in on it back in the day. So, unfortunately, I don't believe this is a changing point. I just believe it's a point where more and more people are able to see what's going on, and it's drawing attention to really the very terribleness of what is the United States police force. If you look in other countries and how their police are with the people, it's usually a lot better um, taken. Some of our police come with military gear now, not SWAT team, but we are talking like actual police officers, and that's kind of, in my opinion, very crazy because why would you be giving these people who do not go through military training military weapons? And that's another thing that I just find really wild is that we expect these people to be fully prepared to take on all these problems. And don't get me wrong, I understand police do have a hard job, but you're signing up for it. You should understand the dangers. It's no different than if you sign up for the military and you sign up for the combat unit and go to war. You The thing is though, when they do that, they train these soldiers to go over there to not make mistakes. They want our soldiers to come back. They want whatever conflict is going on to end. So they train these soldiers with the greatest of training to make sure there isn't any problems. But these police officers, they get trained, and the training for them is substantially shorter than it is to be a military soldier. And
Well, I do agree with what you just was saying about the different police tactics and mentioned about the military. You right, they all do train and they all do what they're supposed to do, but some of them just don't do what they really need to do and take things into their own hands.
exactly. And as far as having support of other races to change this culture of police violence, I'm glad, like I said, that we are in this technological age because, like I said, it is bringing light to a situation that has been going on forever. I won't say forever, but it's been going on for as long as Black people were slaves in America. Just people are finally seeing it more and more and just realizing that it's just not good. There are good police officers in the world. I don't want anyone to think that I don't believe there are. The problem is if you stand by and watch bad things happen, you're not a good police officer. And the problem is too many of them are in the force, and not to mention too many of the bad police officers are in higher levels of the force and running it. But it's good that other people are seeing it, especially people of the Caucasian background, because when white people are seeing what Black people have been saying, that you guys in the police force have some very bad apples that have been doing this. And now they see that also it's happening to not just Black people, but them, Asian people, and Hispanic people. Now it seems like they're getting more and more support for a complete police reform, which is definitely something I believe we really need to do. Um, like I said, I believe that there should be police, because unless you have your own type of protection, who would you call in a very dire time of need if you can't protect yourself or defend yourself? Or, if you know you're not going to get through whatever it might be, you might want somebody to come, and that would be the police. And that's why I believe, like I said, that there needs to be a police force, but there needs to be a force for the people. And I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit, but this brings me to
Well, it's okay.
this brings me to a really good point about police. One thing that would do better for starters, well, of course, like I said, we as black people don't really have a good relationship with police, and not there aren't I don't know a lot of people of my race, of my age, that are too happy to be police officers. I do know some that have joined law enforcement, but the majority of the friends I have are not with the police force. But if you think about it, the problem with police is that they send people to areas that they don't understand, to
That is
police
definitely
people
true.
that they don't get, from problems that they've never lived through. You can't expect a situation to be de-escalated if you send a police officer who's lived his whole life in the suburbs into a hood by chance. And same, you don't see black cops who grew up in the hood being sent to the Beverly Hills area. They might send them to a suburb, but he's always got a white partner usually. Let me not say that because I don't really know the numbers on it. But they send these white cops to these areas that they never would have known anything about, never would have gone to, don't relate anything with to the people, and they expect these problems that might have arose over there to be solved because they're handling things the only way they know how to, and that's not how you do it, you know and
Well,
that's
you made
why.
a lot of good proving points that is really true about the police men and women who are in the field, and also how the system is really screwed up.
Yeah, it's been a long time in the making that it needs to be revamped, completely redone. They need to get out with whoever is running things, and there needs to be like real actual punishment. It's really good that April 20th this year, Derek Chauvin got found guilty for the murder of George Floyd. That's a very good step forward in actually convicting and bringing justice to these fatal racist acts of violence. I'm not going to chalk it up to mistakes with what Derek Chauvin did. That was that was a complete murder, act of violence against a man crying out for help. But like I said, this what happened by him getting convicted for that charge. It's a very good step forward because if you think about it, that's another thing. Like I said, with this police reform, police don't seem like they care if they get fired because usually there is no consequence. If they don't do anything too bad, they can just leave that division. Well, not division, they can leave that area and transfer somewhere else. But if you think about it, how many other jobs can you get discharged from and just pack up and go back to? If you went over
Not
at
many.
if you went over to Iraq and served the country and got shot at, came back to the States and failed a drug test and got dishonorably discharged, you could not get back in the military. But here in the United States, you could be a police officer and have 30 complaints against you, have multiple shootings on your record, and all they do is transfer you to another precinct. That's insane. And they get to keep their pensions. These guys are protected to a level of just basically they can get away with everything they want to do. And I don't think it's fully going to change. I don't think it's fully going to change until whoever's at the top is finally brought down and they redo leadership. There should be some type of election to elect commissioners and police chiefs. Are there those? Do we vote for those?
Yes,
That's
we
something.
do vote for those people.
Okay. I'm sorry. That showed that that's something I needed to look into more.
It's
But
okay. You don't know too much about politics, but that don't mean you can't learn.
So that's definitely something I'm going to look more into. So as far as being able to vote in those, that's great. We can vote in the commissioners and police chiefs here in our local districts. But who runs the bigger, who would be over, if you will, like the top? Of course, it's a hierarchy. So of course we would have like one here for Orleans, then Jefferson, then other parishes. And then there's one for basically, I guess you would say, the commissioner of the state of Louisiana. But then you would have somebody who's over him. And that's what I mean. Whoever's in these very high places of power, that's where the problems are going to lie at.
Well, it goes according to the different cities that you live in. The judges and the police commissioners and stuff like that are who the ones who does stuff like that, and they're the ones, if you when you vote them in office, have a chance to change things.
And that's definitely something I would urge everybody to get out and do. If you don't vote for anything, that definitely seems like something that's very important because that affects everybody's lives. How our police force we pay tax dollars on that. They should be serving the people. That's what the slogan says, to protect and serve. So that's definitely something to vote on because less lives would be lost at the hands of police violence and less families would be in shambles. You know, imagine being able to possibly have a good relationship with police officers is, like it's kind of, to me, it sounds like almost a joke because I feel I might always be weary of police officers, but I'm also very open to see change. I would love to see a world where like I could just walk down the street and not have to fear if I pass by police. And my daughter, when she gets older, and if I have any other kids, and to the rest of my family and friends, anytime they run into police officers and any other person in the world, any type of encounter they have with police, if they had that nervousness, now that nervousness is kind of lifted because now our police are getting proper training. They're actually doing de escalation. They're not so gung ho ready to shoot. I feel that would just start bringing more peace of mind to people, to just know that and see that this is the thing. Now we really are here to protect and serve.
All that is really true what you were saying. You made a lot of good points to this interview, and I believe you did a great job. And you're going to have a lot of people thinking about what was said during this interview with you, David. Well, I enjoyed interviewing you today.
Like I said, I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate talking about it. I hope you like some of my points. I know I like to ramble, but this is just a really important topic, and it's not something that people should take lightly. So
I do agree. And once again, thank you for being a part of Consulting Between Friends. Now it's time to wrap it up and discuss what we have learned today. We have learned through this whole process of this podcast episode that violence in the Black community from police is very troubling. Through the interviews that I have had with different people I know, a lot of things were similar and some things were different. For example, a lot of killings, people were saying, and couldn't believe that we were going through all of this, and they know some of this stuff will not change due to race and due to people. But we all wish that we have different things change. Also, we would like to educate more people on racism, police violence, and voting, for everything can be better in the future. Also, one other thing. If we never discuss these issues, we will never find a solution to the problem. One last thing. Remember to support Black business owners and stop hatred towards each others. Thank you for listening to Consulting Between Friends. Consulting Between Friends is available on Google Podcasts and Spotify, as well other platforms that are available. So like and subscribe. Need to contact us and leave us a comment? You can find us on Instagram at Consulting the letter B Friends. Once again, Consulting B Friends on Instagram. And email address is consultingbfriends@gmail.com. Once again, consultingbfriends@gmail.com. Consulting Between Friends. Thanks to everyone for making this possible. Your host, Michael Holmes Jr., and co-host, Shay Jones. The producer and content creator, Michael Holmes Jr. Artwork cover, Michael Holmes Jr. Original music, a DJ name / interview guests by name, Byron, Jeanette, David my brother, Rotella, David my cousin. References, current news on police violence, the New York Times, CNN. Content distributor, Power 77 Radio.